Ricky Shaw on the Facebook subscribers group. What is winding me up is we have the potential to be a team that no one wants to face, but our defence is so poor. If that gets sorted out, then we're a danger to anyone. I'm just sick of it. The defensive players are horrendous. The only decent centre-back's Joe Gomez and plays with more intelligence than any of the others. I seriously think Klopp has to take a lot of criticism for it as well. If we still want Van Dijk, fine, but we needed more than just him. Personally, I think 2 to 3 reliable centre-backs. Also, the question we've got to ask is how much coaching do these guys get defensively? To be fair, the coaching would fix Mr. Bean's mistake, which is Lovren for the first goal. Wouldn't fix, I think he's probably meant to type there.
Yeah.
It sounds said, but the defending depresses me because I know how good we can be if we have proper defenders. I don't think being able to defend as a unit. Would love to know what others think.
I don't think he does. I think he's right. I think he says, to be fair, coaching would fix his mistake, which I disagree with. I don't think coaching fixes. And
I think if you take the context of it, I do think he means to say. Also, the question is how much coaching these guys get defensively. To be fair, the coaching wouldn't fix his mistake. I think is what he's trying to say.
I think. Okay. Well, if you're watching, let us know because I disagree. But it's I agree on the defending thing in general. I think you can't. You have to agree. There's no other way about it. We're just not very good at not conceding goals. We're very good at conceding goals. That being said, and we've got the final word show to do just yet, so I don't want to tread too much over that. But I thought both of their goals, either way, were still pretty good goals. The goals that they scored in terms of being incisive and touching and making things happen. Again, the problem with Dejan Lovren is it's very similar to for me it's very similar to that Gini Wijnaldum header against Watford at the near post, in that 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, you just clear that. You get your foot in the way of that and it goes away. It's like a weird stumble thing that Lovren does there, and it goes past him, and then the guy slots it. It's fucking mad.
You know what it was like, and correct me if I'm wrong here. You know when let's say for example the ball bobbled over Tim Flowers. Yeah. Do you remember that? It was like a reverse bobble. It's somehow like it bobbled under his foot, and you're like, how does this happen? Yeah. This doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Genuinely crazy. Like, no
idea.
But I actually I didn't really. I said post-match, I didn't really see it at the time. I've watched it back since, and I don't know. Like I say, I'm not sure. I don't think any. If you're saying no, I don't know the coaching fixes it, then that's right. I don't. That's not a coachable thing. That's just one of those freak things that happen. The problem is that we're talking about a guy now.
So many times.
Well, exactly. You know, this is the thing. We talk about this now. He's got a track record for not being quite right, but it's also the same game in which Joel Matip looked like the greatest centre half to play the game. He was running. He was beating people. He was getting into the opposition box. He was playing 50-yard passes to feet, and then he basically spooned the ball up in the air, nearly give away a penalty, and you know what I mean. And so I also guess I agree with him by saying that I can see why you might think Gomez is our only centre back, although there's no evidence to suggest that's the case either. Because when has Joe Gomez ever played centre half?
Dan Phillips actually commented and says the weak link is the partner to Matip. He looks worse than he is. He's having to do the job of 2 centre backs. I want Sim and Gomez have a run in the team with Klein and Robertson back on the side. I believe would be far better. And Ricky comes back and says, yeah, that's a fair point on Matip and stuff, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, that's it. The thing is though, we just need to develop with what we've got, and I just still contend, and the evidence mounts against my opinion on this on an almost weekly basis at the moment, but Lovren and Klavan have got it in them to be sort of sound centre-halves. You don't get to be a professional footballer at the age that they're professional footballers, at the level that they've been professional footballers. They're not shit. They're just not shit. And maybe that's the difference where they're not top quality. It's just that you just have a few more of those ricks in your game. You know what I mean? Where you do have daft moments. I genuinely don't know, but I think I think our defenders are better than they've been.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make it easy when you have a couple of bad results back to back. There's a tendency to think everything's absolutely goosed, isn't it?
Okay, well, I've got a comment from Sam Miley, Paul, and this is something that, the reason I'm pulling this comment out is it's something you were saying on the way back to the car in the match last night, and, you know, I don't think you said it on anything, and maybe now's a good time. Going to put it out there and say the atmosphere was shite tonight. Even on the Kop, it seemed like nobody could be asked to have a singing cheer on the team, aside from a couple of pockets of supporters. Going the match shouldn't be about moaning whenever players make mistakes. We should be doing our bit to intimidate oppositions and act as our 12th man. As potentially our biggest European home game of the season, that was pretty poor attempt at an atmosphere for me. Team played well for the most part, but our casual defender has once again let us down. Nevertheless, can't help but feel we'd have won that game if the fans had been a bit more up for it.
Yeah, I think it's telling. You can tell the games when the fans have performed to the level that we expect from them, because Jürgen goes all the way up to the Kop and gives them a big fist pump and all that kind of stuff, and he didn't. You know, he basically did like a from the halfway line, and I agree. I thought it was okay. Started well enough. The early goal kills that off, and the problem we've got. We talked about this on the podcast, is that I just don't think I think we've not treated that like a big game. Like Hoffenheim was a big game because it was Champions League qualification dependent upon that. Now we're back in the groups. It's like we've gone back to and it even felt, like I said, I felt it myself at 2-1. It felt like the game was done. Like we were just good. We were just ready to see it out. So there was no driving on of the team. And I agree. When you look at the players who were knackered, like Mane was out on his feet. But if you've got people, if the crowd are going, rah, it gives you that. You're not gonna not run flat out when you've got 50,000 people roaring behind you. And we talked about it a lot. You Sai and I on the walk back to the car. The fucking moaners in the ground. It makes me. It's killing football for me. It's killing my enjoyment of footy, and that maybe I should be more resistant to it. But I just think it's very difficult to be resistant of it when it's constant. It's just. I don't think people enjoyed footy. And
it's mad, isn't it?
And it fucking wrecks my enjoyment of it.
I had a fellow, I was in the upper main stand for a start, and the atmosphere was brilliant up there. Like, and don't get me wrong, there was quiet moments as well, but I couldn't really hear the Kop from where I was. But I was right near the Kop, and the roof's there, so obviously the sound goes down, doesn't it? But I could hear the Anfield Road, and I was right by the Kop, so I think they had a good old sing song. Like, well, there's a fella a few rows behind me. Do you remember when Dejan Lovren brought the ball out and he's running with it like a Matip style running? There's literally nobody in front of him. Whatever type of a game he's had, it doesn't deserve the shout that he got, which was, you're a fucking knobhead, what have you still got the ball for, you bellend, or something similar to that. And I'm thinking, he's trying, he's bringing the ball out from the back, he's got no passes there. Yeah. Matip went and did a rangy run, literally 10 seconds afterwards, and the same guy's like, go on, Joel, and you're like, they're both trying the same thing, and they both ended in the same thing, which was a pass to one of our players.
Well, this is the problem, is that it's like, I told this before, like this narrative build up around our players, like, he's shit, so it's fine for me to hail abuse of this player, because he's shit. And the thing that did my head in most was the carrier stuff. There was a bit where we were passing it round a bit, and people got a bit nervous and a bit edgy, and it was just building. You go, oh, fucking get it, Red, fucking blah, and it just builds up, and it's like, and I genuinely shouted, "Oh my God, calm down," because here's the thing, and this is what we were talking about. What does my head in is that we are dead as a fan base in a whole. I'm just going to lump us all in together for the fucking sake of argument, because let's be honest, the people who, the dissenters here, the ones that are being heard, because they're the loudest ones, we are dedicating more effort and more noise towards making our own players feel like shit than we are to making opposition players feel like shit. Said. What a fucking crock of shite that is. Why aren't we going out there and making it the most hostile atmosphere for every single player? Why aren't we booing and jeering every touch? Why aren't we whistling? Why aren't we calling gobshite to every time every one of their players? But we don't. We go for Dejan Lovren. Albi Moreno, credit to him, he seems to be coming out the other side of it somehow, which is magnificent.
There's still Jordan Henderson, there's still Dejan
Lovren, Loris Karius. How the fuck are you meant to become a goalkeeper unless you're already world class? How are you meant to become a top quality goalkeeper at Liverpool when all you can hear from every stand is a bunch of moaning minge bags going every time. All you're doing is doing what you've been asked to do by the manager because it's the style of football that we play. It's fucking horseshit, and it's the biggest problem we've got going wrong with Anfield. And I'm sure it happens in every football ground, but I don't give a shit about every other football ground. I give a shit about us and our fans, and it's us. And us being a special club and us being different, going down the toilet because a bunch of people who don't know how to respect the players who are wearing our kits are coming into the ground and they're fucking ruining it. Not just for the experience of us in the stands, but for the fucking players on the pitch as well.
Right,
pathetic.
Brilliantly said, mate.
Pathetic.